This has been a bad week for Jasmine Crockett in her campaign. This has been a
Mhm.
horrible week for them. I think it's finally hit her, maybe finally hit her, that she's only valuable to the Democrat Party when she's acting like a clown.
We're 4 days away from the Texas primaries, which could shake up the political direction for both Democrats and Republicans. And naturally, journalists have come to Texas, in addition to the Texas journalists, to report on all the candidates. That includes Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who is running for the U.S. Senate in the Democratic primary. One journalist, however, Elaine Godfrey of The Atlantic magazine, says that she was thrown out of one of Congresswoman Crockett's rallies. And Godfrey published this article yesterday, quote, "Why I got thrown out of a Jasmine Crockett rally." Now, a day before that, Crockett told CBS News that no journalist had been thrown out of her rally. Oh, really? Well, Godfrey just released the audio, and here is the moment after a woman with a badge told Godfrey that Crockett's team wanted her to leave.
Why are you asking me to leave?
They just said Elaine from Atlantic, white girl with a hat and no cut. She's interviewing people in the crowd. She's a top-notch hater and will spin. She needs to leave.
Top-notch hater. Elaine Godfrey from The Atlantic joins us now. Elaine, Crockett also told CBS News that there's no evidence a journalist was thrown out of her event.
Now, first, before we go on, you all know how the Democrats, and particularly Jasmine Crockett, have slammed President Trump, saying that he's a dictator and he is the end of democracy and an enemy of the news media because he doesn't want the media around. Here she is, Jasmine Crockett, of all people, telling a reporter that they can't report the news of her event, and then she has her removed, and then she lies about it. This is rich. Okay, let's take a look.
That there is a specific history with a history of being less than truthful, she says. Now, when it comes to being less than truthful, your article is evidence. Your claim is evidence. The audio is evidence. Did anyone else see what happened? And how can Congresswoman Crockett continue to say that there's no evidence when there's quite a bunch?
I don't know, Jake. It's a very weird situation that I have never found myself in. A lot of people saw it. There were a bunch of guests or a bunch of attendees at the rally waiting to take pictures with her. A bunch of staff, obviously all the security guards who walked me out.
Wow. All right. So, as you all can see, Crockett crashed. Shelley, what are your thoughts on that?
I love it. I haven't read that story. I hadn't seen that story, but it doesn't surprise me. Again, Jasmine Crockett is not necessarily known, at least from reports that I've heard. She's a little snippy, a little nasty, nice nasty, as we want to say. And so it would not surprise me. This lady here, this journalist here, she wrote a report. Okay, they said she lied. You can write a report. It doesn't mean you lie or the other side is lying. But then she had the audio.
Right.
No, you're frowning your face, KD. What I'm saying is, because someone says something, there can be a counter. It doesn't mean that the other person is lying because there's a counter. But she did have audio to support it.
That's this situation. She had audio.
She had audio to support it. I hadn't gotten there yet. She had audio to support it. So I want to hear now the rebuttal, if you will, from Crockett's team. I have to see. I hadn't seen that again, like I said. So this is the first I'm seeing it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your thoughts?
This has been a bad week for Jasmine Crockett in her campaign. This has been a horrible week for them. First, it was the Colbert and Talrico, kerfluffle with CBS News, and they didn't want to give her equal time. And then she comes out and says, I'm used to getting slings from the right, and now the left is after me too. This is ridiculous. What are they doing talking about me? I think it's finally hit her. Maybe finally hit her that she's only valuable to the Democrat Party when she's acting like a clown. Now that she's taken off the clown stuff and put on some regular people clothes, cut back her eyelashes a good 6 feet, and actually started speaking the English that her parents paid dearly for her to learn, she is of no value to them. Now, I will tell you, her campaign and her office has been notoriously nasty to the press. Notoriously nasty to the press. And they have for a very long time suppressed stories like the one that was written by The Atlantic. Here's the difference. Now, the Democrats don't want her to win. So people can report whatever they want to report about Jasmine Crockett now. I look for probably over the course of the weekend and on Monday, more and more stories about her personally hitting the press, things that people have sat on because she's no longer the darling of the party. She's no longer the mouthpiece for unhappy Democrats. Now it's open season, and all of the reporters that she's slighted, all the people that she's lied to, all the people she's made fun of, she's going to be a piñata for these folks. They're coming for their pound of flesh, and it couldn't happen to a nastier person. She's earned every bit of what she's got coming, including a loss. Because the way these polls look, girlfriend's going to be sitting on the bench. She's absolutely going to have a seat. Talrico, after that YouTube video with Colbert, raised $2.5 million in 1 hour.
I saw that.
In 1 hour. So now that Chuck Schumer's picked his team and she ain't on it, it's a hard road to go for her. Very
so
hard.
in other words, her own team is coming after her, because the Atlantic is a left-wing rag.
Absolutely.
So,
it is.
So that's a good point.
Yeah, she was a pawn. She was never picked for her acumen or being a good candidate as far as knowing her district and all. She was a pawn. Okay. This is what the Democrat Party does with Black people. They use them for what they need, and then when they no longer need them, they leave them out to dry. Okay. And because she's just like Kamala Harris, because these people they can't sit alone and represent themselves as good candidates. They're terrible candidates from the get-go, but because they were this Black girl magic, I'm a Black girl, and she was all out front and out here standing for Biden and all this type of stuff. She was usable. Now they don't need her, and she does not have really any talent as a candidate to keep her on for people to vote for. She really doesn't.
Right.
Exactly. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't James Talarico? He's a white guy.
Yeah, he's very, very white. He's incredibly white.
That's funny to me. That's funny. They're moving her out and replace. That's her party. That's the Democrat Party, right? So okay.
It's what they do, and it's what I mean, we take a look back to last year when they were electing their leadership. That Black women stood up there and was like, I'm running, don't talk when I'm talking, and all these little tropes that they use. And let me tell you, not near one of them got elected. Not one. Not even the transgender ones. Not one. So I think over time, they will begin to see that they're only useful to this party when they're willing to act like clowns, when they're willing to take the slings and arrows. Because I don't see, Jasmine on the campaign trail at this point, dancing to Kendrick Lamar down a hallway. That's not happening. When I tell you that she's looking like she's well educated, because again, she's no longer pandering to South Dallas in Oak Cliff. That's not who she's pandering to. Now she's going to have to convince the entire state of Texas that she's worth a vote. And she's having a hard road to toe. And again, the Democrats chose Talrico. This is their boy. I mean, he's got some stuff on him too. I digress. I'm not going to break that down for y'all. But, he's no choir boy. But by comparison, she's done far more for this party than this state legislator who's come in and stole her shine. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous. If I were her, I'd be mad too. Mad enough maybe to call Nicole Bennett and tell me all the Democrat secrets so we can, use it for some op-ed.
All right. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Be leaders ourselves.
Black women are being used by the Democrat Party.
All of these socioeconomic indicators are in the negative, particularly for Black people.
They want mob rule. When Trump was in office, please somebody tell me what act of dictatorship did he perform?
She had Donald Trump's hair on top of her head. And she's sitting here talking about brown girl this, brown girl that.
Because she's a Black woman.
They would ask her how to spell her first name and clap like sea monkeys.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.